Hello, everyone. I'm Sir Alex, and I would like to welcome you to our Purposive Communication class. Today we will discuss Module 7, which focuses on informative communication. As you can see from our title, Communication for Various Purposes, this is a broad field, but today we are zeroing in on one of its most fundamental pillars. The main goal of this module is to help you master the essential skill of sharing knowledge clearly and effectively. This isn't just an academic exercise, it's a skill that will be crucial throughout your university life and, more importantly, in your future professional careers, no matter which field you pursue. So, let's start with the basic question: what exactly is informative communication? At its core, informative communication is the process of sharing knowledge, facts, and data with an audience. The primary objective here is to help them understand a specific topic. As you can see from the image of the open book, the goal is to educate by sharing knowledge, to clarify complex ideas and make them accessible, much like navigating a winding path, and ultimately, to enlighten your audience by expanding their understanding of the world. It's very important to distinguish this from persuasive communication. While persuasion aims to change someone's beliefs or actions, our goal here is simply to educate and enlighten. This skill is foundational. Whether you are in agriculture, business, IT, or the arts, you will need to inform others. Mastering this is critical for you to become a globally competitive professional and to contribute meaningfully to sustainable development, which are key goals here at our university. Before we dive deeper, let's outline what we aim to achieve by the end of this module. These are our learning objectives. First, you will be able to differentiate. This means you'll clearly identify the unique purposes and strategies that separate informative communication from persuasive communication. Second, you will learn to analyze. We will break down the components of effective informative messages, looking closely at their structure, content, and the various methods of delivery. Third, you will be able to construct. You'll gain the skills to create your own well-organized informative materials, such as speeches, reports, and presentations, using the appropriate organizational patterns we'll discuss later. Fourth, you will practice. This involves using transitional devices and clear language to make sure your messages are coherent and easy for your audience to follow. And finally, you will learn to evaluate. We'll look at real-world examples, and you will learn to critically assess them and provide constructive feedback for improvement. By the end of this module, you should feel confident in all 5 of these areas. Informative communication takes several forms in both academic and professional settings. Let's discuss 3 of the most common ones. First, we have informative speeches. These are verbal presentations designed to give an audience new information or build upon what they already know. In this role, the speaker essentially acts as a teacher, presenting facts in a clear and unbiased manner. Second are informative reports. These are formal, structured documents that present findings in an organized way. Think of your lab reports or research papers. They are a permanent record that is crucial in academic and professional life. Finally, we have informative presentations. You can think of these as a hybrid of speeches and reports. They use visual aids, like this very PowerPoint, to help the audience grasp the information more effectively. This approach combines both verbal and visual channels to create content that is more memorable and accessible. To be effective in any of these forms, especially speaking, we need to adhere to some key principles. The first is clarity. This is non-negotiable. You must use simple, direct language. If you have to use technical jargon, you must explain it thoroughly. The goal is to make complex information accessible without dumbing it down. Next is audience analysis. You must consider what your audience already knows about the topic. You can't start with highly advanced concepts if they don't have the foundational knowledge. Always tailor your message to their level of understanding. And third, there's relevance. As the image of the puzzle pieces suggests, you need to connect your topic to your audience's lives. Why should they care about what you're saying? Show them why the information matters to them personally or to their future careers. This is key to keeping them engaged. Informative speeches can be categorized based on their subject matter. Let's look at 4 major types. First, we have speeches about objects. These focus on tangible things you can see or touch, like products, places, or equipment. For example, a tourism student might give a speech about the Cagayan River, detailing its geography and cultural significance. Second are speeches about processes. These speeches explain how something works or how to do something. They are often how-to guides. A great example would be a computer science student demonstrating the step-by-step process of creating a simple website with HTML and CSS. Third, we have speeches about events. These detail significant occurrences, either from history or current affairs. For instance, a history major could deliver an informative speech explaining the context, key figures, and lasting impact of the Battle of Mactan. Finally, there are speeches about concepts. These are more abstract, exploring ideas, theories, or beliefs. A psychology student explaining the theory of growth mindset would be a perfect example, defining the concept, its benefits, and how to cultivate it. Let's make this more concrete with a real-world example many of you might be familiar with, a campus tour guide. Imagine you are a tour guide right here at Isabela State University, speaking to a group of new students. Your job is to explain the campus layout, give a bit of university history, and point out where the different colleges are located. Your goal is purely informative. You are not trying to convince them that ISU is the best university, you are simply giving them the factual information they need to find their way around and feel comfortable in their new environment. You might say something like, on your left is the College of Agriculture, where you'll find our state-of-the-art research facilities for crop science. This is a simple, factual statement designed to inform. It's a perfect, practical application of what we're discussing. Now let's shift our focus from speaking to writing and discuss informative reports. In academia, you are already familiar with academic reports. These are your research papers and laboratory reports. They present the findings of an investigation and must follow a very strict format, typically including an abstract, introduction, methodology, results, and discussion. In the professional world, you'll encounter business reports. These can be anything from monthly performance reports to market analysis or project status updates. Their purpose is to provide clear data and insights that managers can use for decision-making. Let's look at another specific example, this time for a report. As many of you are students here at Isabela State University, let's consider a scenario involving an agricultural engineer. This engineer might be required to write a monthly crop yield report. This document would be purely informative, containing precise measurements and factual observations. It would include hard data on the harvest, an analysis of soil conditions, a discussion of factors that affected the yield, like weather or pests, and charts to show trends over time. The objective here is crystal clear, to inform superiors about the farm's performance. There is no persuasion involved, only the clear, objective presentation of data. Now, let's talk about informative presentations, which blend speaking and visual aids. There are 3 key components to get right. First, your visuals. Use slides, charts, or videos to support your points. A good guideline to avoid clutter is the 6x6 rule, no more than 6 lines of text per slide, with a maximum of 6 words per line. Always use large, readable fonts and high-quality images. Second is your verbal delivery. You need to speak clearly and confidently. Maintain eye contact with your audience and use an engaging tone of voice, varying your pitch and pace to keep their attention. A great way to manage nervousness is to practice beforehand, perhaps in front of a mirror or with friends. Third, and most importantly, is the structure. Your presentation must have a logical flow that guides the audience from one point to the next. Your visual aids should reinforce this structure, making even complex data easy to follow and understand. You might be wondering why I'm emphasizing structure so much. The reason is rooted in a psychological principle called cognitive load theory. This theory suggests that our working memory, the part of our brain that processes new information, has a limited capacity. If you present information in a disorganized way, you overwhelm that capacity. The learner has to spend so much mental energy just trying to sort out the information that they have very little left for actual understanding and retention. Think about it like assembling furniture with instructions that jump randomly from step 3 to step 8, then back to step 1. It would be incredibly frustrating and inefficient. A clear, logical structure, on the other hand, reduces this cognitive load. It acts as a roadmap, making the learning process smooth, efficient, and effortless for your audience. So, what does a good structure look like? The most fundamental and effective structure is the classic three-part model. It begins with the introduction. This is where you grab the audience's attention, clearly state the purpose of your message, and provide a brief preview of the main points you will cover. It sets the stage. Next is the body. This is the main section where you present your points in a logical sequence. Each point must be supported by evidence, examples, and relevant details to be convincing and clear. Finally, you have the conclusion. Here, you summarize your main points to reinforce them in the audience's mind and leave them with a clear and memorable takeaway of your topic. Within the body of your message, the information needs to be organized logically. Choosing the right organizational pattern is essential for getting your core message across effectively. Here are 4 common patterns. The topical pattern divides your main topic into several logical subtopics. This is one of the most common and flexible patterns for informative speeches. The chronological pattern organizes information according to a time sequence. This is ideal for describing historical events or explaining a step-by-step process. The spatial pattern arranges information based on its physical location or direction. This is very useful when you are describing a place, an object, or a diagram. And the cause and effect pattern is used to explain how one event leads to another. It's perfect for showing the relationship between different phenomena. Let's look at an example of the topical pattern. Imagine your main topic is Philippine festivals. You could logically divide this broad topic into subtopics, with each one focusing on a specific festival. For instance, your first main point could be the Sinulog Festival in Cebu, where you discuss its history and significance. Your second point could be the Mascara Festival in Bacolod, and your third could be the Panagbenga Festival in Baguio. Each festival is a distinct subtopic of the main subject. Now for the chronological pattern. A classic example is explaining the life cycle of a plant. You would organize your points based on the natural time sequence of a plant's growth. You'd start with seed germination, move on to seedling growth, then the vegetative stage, followed by flowering, and finally, fruiting. The order is fixed by time, and presenting it in this sequence makes the process easy to understand. Here's an example of the spatial pattern, and we can use our campus tour scenario again. When guiding visitors, you organize the information based on physical location. You would likely start at the main entrance, then move physically through the campus, discussing the administration building next, followed by the library, and then the buildings for the different colleges. You are guiding the audience through a physical space in a logical sequence. Finally, let's look at the cause and effect pattern. A relevant topic for you as students might be the consequences of poor study habits. You could structure your presentation by first discussing the causes, things like procrastination, lack of sleep, poor time management, and distractions. Then, you would discuss the resulting effects, such as low grades, high stress levels, and reduced comprehension. This pattern clearly links actions to their outcomes. A strong structure is the skeleton of your message, but you need evidence to give it muscle. To be credible and effective, you must support your main points with reliable evidence. Especially today, in an age of information overload, using trustworthy sources is absolutely critical. You can use facts and statistics from reliable sources to provide objective proof. For example, citing a report from the Philippine Statistics Authority on inflation rates adds immense credibility. You should also use examples and illustrations. These make abstract ideas, like inflation, concrete and relatable. Explaining how the price of coffee has changed over 5 years is a simple illustration that everyone can understand. Finally, you can use testimonies. Quoting or paraphrasing an expert in the field adds authority to your message. Citing a statement from a leading marine biologist about coral reefs, for example, is much more powerful than just stating your own opinion. Since using good evidence is so important, you must become skilled at evaluating your sources. Here are 5 critical factors to consider. First, the author's expertise. Does the author actually have credentials and experience in this subject? Second, the publication date. Is the information recent enough to be relevant, especially in fast-moving fields like technology or medicine? Third, the publisher's reputation. Is the source a respected academic journal, a government institution, or a well-known organization? Fourth, objectivity. Does the source present the information in a balanced way, or is there a clear bias? And fifth, citations. Does the source back up its own claims by citing its references? A well-researched source will always show you where its information came from. So, let's bring this all together. By mastering the art of organizing your thoughts logically and supporting them with reliable evidence, you will be able to share information with confidence and clarity. This is true whether you are in a classroom here at ISU or in your future workplace. Always remember the ultimate goal of informative communication: to empower your audience with knowledge. A well-structured, evidence-based message is the key to achieving that goal. The key takeaway for today is this: informative communication is a foundational skill that supports success in every single field and is essential for contributing to sustainable development. Developing this skill will help you become the globally competitive professional that Isabela State University envisions you to be. Thank you.